Hello, I'm Rob Constantine, and this is Paranormal Record. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the show. Thanks again for listening and joining us for another edition of Paranormal Record. This is our second episode. It's our second Skeleton Crew episode. And Skeleton Crew episodes are like that book by Stephen King, Skeleton Crew, a bunch of different stories, and we smash them all together and put them into one book, and then we put out a book. So here are two stories and two interviews, two guests. The first one, her name is Darlene, and she lives in Los Angeles. And this is a story about her and some experiences she had living in an apartment in LA in the 1990s. So, without further ado, uh, crazy stuff. Let's get into it. Here we go.
Hey, Darlene. So glad to have you on the show. I Now you are one of the listeners originally, and you wrote in to Paranormal Record Podcast at gmail.com and said, "Hey, I have a great, crazy story to tell, and I want to tell you all about my life in 1990s Los Angeles and when I lived with an entity named George." So So tell us about George, Darlene, and tell us about just just set up the story a little bit. Tell us about how you moved into the apartment in the first place and where you were at, what you were doing, and then your first experience with George, and then go from there.
Alrighty. It was about 1990. I had just moved to a duplex in Culver City, an older building. I was living with a boyfriend, ex-boyfriend around the corner, and moved out because of a bad breakup. And yeah, so just moved around the corner. Don't know how smart that was, but I liked it. I liked the old building. I liked the feel of it. I just started a new job as well in Hollywood. I was a camera person with pre-press printing. So I had to be at work at 6 a.m., worked at 2 p.m. I was about 30 years old at the time, and starting everything new. A lot of changes going on at the time. I liked the apartment. I love Culver City. The first thing that happened when I lived there, I come home from work and my kitchen drawers flooded, all flooded. Everything was just ruined. And it's an old building, old pipes. But the manager said there's nothing wrong with the pipes. They were fine. He never touched the pipes. He said, I don't know what this is, but the pipes aren't the problem. So I cleaned it up, financially, threw everything away and just blamed it on an old building. What are you going to do? Didn't think much of it. It wasn't until my pumpkin, it was around Halloween, I had got a pumpkin and then I carved it and put it on the little table by the couch. Went to bed, work in the morning, and when I came home from work, that pumpkin that I just bought the day before was melted and just mildewy and just melted all over the place.
Oh my gosh!
I could not make sense of how that could have happened. It was less than 24 hours. How could that be? But it was. I never came up. I could never figure that out. It's like you don't see that every day.
Yeah.
So that was, and then shortly after that, my niece, she was 8 years old, Olivia. She came to visit me on a Friday night, and we went out to dinner, went shopping. We came home, and I said, "Okay, Livy, go take a bath." So she's in the bathtub, and I go in my bedroom, and I see like a lot of small pieces of furniture on top of my dresser piled up to almost the ceiling. And I have bars on my windows. All the windows have bars. The doors have security gates. So no one got in.
Yeah.
I asked her, Libby, could you come out of the bath and put your PJs on and come here and look in my bedroom? And I said, that wasn't like that before, was it? And she said, no. And she was like, her eyes were huge. And
So the furniture like books were just stacked in a stack.
to almost the ceiling, like end tables, chairs from the kitchen. Yeah,
Wow.
it was crazy. Yeah, and I couldn't. She's looking like the same face I had on. Baffled, like, what are we looking at? What is this?
Yeah.
I called my brother, and I come over right away. My brother comes over, and he goes, well, yeah, you don't see that kind of thing every day, do you?
No.
You think? So he tried to make excuses like, oh, maybe it's the ex-boyfriend Casey that somehow got in and did this. No, that's not what that is. He would not have done that. He couldn't have done that. And it's pretty elaborate kind of prank if he did, but he didn't. But I don't know what I was dealing with, but it was bizarre. It was crazy. I wasn't scared at that time, but I was like thinking I was losing it. But at least Olivia was there to show me that, yeah, she's seeing what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
So that's kind of really for me. And then the first time I see George. I named this incident George.
Okay.
Because he looked to me like a George.
Okay.
For some reason. One night I woke out of a dead sleep and I just sat straight up. And see, my bedroom has a door, and there's a small hallway, and then there's a bathroom.
Yeah.
And when I'm sitting straight up, I'm looking straight into the bathroom, and I see the George profile because he's looking in the mirror, which is above the kitchen or bathroom sink, and he's primping, and he slowly has his hand going over his hair.
What?
Perfecting it or something.
What did he look like?
Well, to me, he looked like he was like 80, 85, somewhere in there, if I had to guess. He has silver hair, but he's kind of white anyway. But he has silver hair, very chiseled features, like a caricature actor or a movie star or something.
Yeah.
Like very, and just very well groomed and just very pleased on how he was looking. He was very pleased with himself. And I couldn't. I'm trying to make it. What am I seeing? What am I looking at? And I couldn't make sense of it. And so it just, I replied, and I just ran to the door, locked it, put my head under the covers, put my whole body under the covers, and tried to convince myself, okay, that was a dream. That was just a dream. It was a dream. And I don't know if I was buying it or not, but that was George.
Wow.
Next time, yeah.
Wow. Okay, so wait, so were all the lights out? All the lights are out, right?
Yes.
But when you woke up and looked across from the bedroom through the hallway into the bathroom, you could see this guy standing there. Is there like light? Is there like a natural light in the bathroom or anything? Or
well, there's a window, but there's also a shower door.
Right. So there's not a lot of light, but enough. Wow. Oh my gosh.
I couldn't tell you like from the waist down if I saw. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I just remember from the waist up seeing him, and then I could describe.
You were not looking at the mirror. You were looking at him looking in the mirror, right? The mirror's on the wall. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Wow. Oh my gosh. Yeah, wow. 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 And wait, so you weren't scared that there was a man in your apartment and then he was just standing there at the bathroom? Did you know that it wasn't a man or or you didn't know what it was, but it wasn't an intruder? You like knew that right away or what?
I didn't get the feeling of intruder, but I got the feeling, I didn't know what I was looking at. I don't know what I was looking at. I know what I saw, I could do, have a detective do a sketch of his face today. It was that chiseled in my head, his features. But I just know that I couldn't make sense of it. And just locked the door.
But you weren't scared like, hey, there's somebody in my apartment. It was just something else.
Right. It wasn't like someone, that just robbed the 7-Eleven that came in my apartment. I didn't get that impression at all. It was like, what am I seeing? What am I seeing? I was so baffled by the fact that he's just primping in the mirror, this older man that was too well groomed or dressed to be in my bathroom. I mean, didn't make sense to me. So then eventually I fell asleep.
Okay.
I'm seeing this, and I don't know. But then the next morning I went to work like usual, and just thought, what the hell? What the hell?
Maybe you were dreaming, or maybe this is whatever stacked your furniture and filled your drawers with water.
It was. I didn't even put the drawers and the water together yet.
Okay.
But I did put together that either I'm dreaming and I'm losing my mind is because I know what I saw.
This is the furniture stacker in person.
Yeah. Now it's kind of I'm putting pieces of the puzzle like together, like, huh? But I don't know what that puzzle is.
Golly. Yeah, and then he made the pumpkin decay. Like that's maybe he has powers. Maybe he has powers like E.T. where he can make things come to life or make things die. He's connected to the plants.
I mean, I ended up like a few times after like the second time I saw him, I called a paranormal expert guy, and he told me. I told him what happened, and he said if he wanted to hurt me, he would have, but he didn't. Okay. He thought I was the intruder in his place, not the other way around. Wow. That's how he saw it, which makes sense.
It's really funny. In a recent interview about E.T., sorry, I want to talk about E.T. But no, in a recent interview, Steven Spielberg said that E.T. was an advanced form of plant, and that's why he could do that. So how crazy is that?
Well, when you think about it,
because we share DNA with trees. There's some crazy science that I'm talking about here, but at the tip of the iceberg, we share DNA with trees, basically, and we are not plants, but we have more likeness to plants, or more. We have a bigger relationship to plants than we realize. So.
Oh, I mean, I feel plants. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't stand it. If a tree is being taken, he's like, no.
So, all right. So I went off the rails talking about ET, but I just had to say. So, all right. So, so then you saw George, and you reached out to a paranormal expert. He said if he wanted to hurt you, he would. But you didn't feel threatened, even when, I mean, you were scared, but you didn't feel like there was an intruder in your house, and you weren't scared in that way. It was just, you were like trying to figure out what's going on. Obviously, it's the furniture stacker. Obviously, that's happening, and more weird stuff is happening in your house because that's where weird stuff happens. Like, right? Like, I understand your brain was like, nobody's in my house, or something's in my house, but it's not going to hurt me. I'm going to bed now because I have to go to work tomorrow, and because I'm just not going to deal with this anymore.
It was exhausting. I mean,
yes.
I was so tired during that time. My coworkers at work would just say, "What's going on?" Because I was so tired. I mean, taking a shower alone, I had to think. I felt so vulnerable.
Yeah.
Is he looking at me?
Oh my gosh.
So after the second time I saw him, though, I realized he didn't care about looking at naked me in the shower. He wanted to see himself and shrimp.
Right. So what happened the second time you saw him, Darlene?
Okay, the second time I saw him, same. It started the same way as the first time.
Yeah.
Dead sleep, but I can't tell you like how much time had gone by since the first time.
Yeah.
But I woke up out of dead sleep, sat up. There he was, and he's primping slowly, poking his hair, staring at him, and then he seemed to. He slowly was moving his head as if he was going to look at me.
Oh my God.
Slowly.
Oh gosh.
And and it had this weird, I don't want to call it a smirk, but it was like this look at his face, I can't even describe it. It was just not pleasant. And he slowly turned his head to look at me. And for some reason in my head, I thought at that moment, if we make eye contact, I'm gonna burst into flames or something.
Sure.
I don't know why, but I believed it with everything I had. I can't have that happen. I can't have that happen. So I ran to the door, locked it, went under the covers, and this time, I mean, I was shaking like Elvis. I was under those covers, and I just was shaking until I saw the sun come up. I mean, I didn't know the phone. I don't have cell phones at the time. I had one land phone in the living room, and I certainly wasn't going to go past George to get to that.
So you just locked the door on him again?
Yeah.
Okay. Now listen, Darlene, when you get out of bed, are you looking at him, or are you just looking at the floor and the door, and then once you get to the door you lock it and then run back? Like when you get closer to him, is he doing anything? Does he notice you, or are you not even looking? You're just in a blind.
Not looking.
Run to the door. Yeah, okay. All
I'm
right.
not even looking. I'm just trying to get to the door to close it as fast as I can.
Yeah.
Before he sees, I see him. And
You didn't get a glance at all when you got closer to him. You didn't look at all.
No,
Ah,
I was too scared. I was too scared.
I totally understand that. I totally get that. All right. Okay.
Then I come home from work one afternoon. I always had like a vase with flowers, on my end table by my bed.
Okay. That's nice.
Yeah, I treat myself. So
That's
Monday
lovely.
afternoon,
My mom did the same thing. Yes.
it's a beautiful thing.
Yes.
Unless you have George living with you.
Oh no! What did he do to the flowers?
He said, well, I got home and he had, instead of being where they were, he placed them on my pillow.
Like a funeral?
Yes.
Oh my God, Darlene, that's
scary.
That's scary, man.
What does this mean? What is he saying? What are you trying to tell me, George?
What does that mean? What is happening? Does that mean I can't sleep here tonight, or did you sleep there?
Yeah, I did sleep there, but it wasn't a good sleep. I mean,
Oh my gosh,
that really scared me because I didn't know. I gave her a warning.
Did you stop buying flowers, or did you buy flowers and leave them in the living room, or?
I threw the flowers away.
Oh my gosh.
Didn't do that anymore. I didn't do that with flowers after that.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. It was like really the way it was sat there.
Yeah.
It was supposed to tell me something. It was telling me something, and I didn't know what.
So did you buy flowers anymore, or no? You didn't bring flowers into the house anymore.
Nope.
But they weren't dead like the pumpkin. That's interesting.
No, but the way they were placed on my pillow, it was like, R.I.P.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, that's what I read into it. Yeah, no, that's what I thought too. Oh my God.
And I tried to, I have a friend, Paula, who I used to work with, and she moved to Vegas, but she knew about this type of thing. So once I tried to call her and ask her, what can I do? Because I didn't know about going to the light or whatever, sage. I had no clue about any of that. And each time she would start to tell me, okay, this is what you do. The phone, it was a landline, the phone would just go staticky, really loud static, and then hang up.
What?
Yeah. 3 times I tried to do this, 3 times, same results. I go, okay, he doesn't want me talking to Paula. So
that's really creepy. He didn't hang up on you when you were talking to your brother about him.
No, he didn't. He didn't, because my brother wasn't a believer. He's like, he's trying to make excuses. He wasn't, and I'm going like, how can you? There's no. I mean, I'm trying to make sense of this, and going crazy while I'm doing it, and it's like, how can you say, oh, well, it's Casey doing that for another? No, you don't see what I'm seeing. And he worked night shift where I worked day shifts. So he should have known better. We talked about it. We had lunch Sunday, and we talked about it.
Yeah.
And he said, yeah. I just thought, okay, well, you just, I didn't know what to make of it. So just excuse it and go home because you get to go home. That's how I thought about it.
This is what your brother said at lunch, you said, when you saw him again?
Yeah, a few days ago. Yeah, no, yesterday.
Wait, a few days ago or a few days after the flower thing?
No. It was yesterday. I brought it up and I was talking to him about it.
He still doesn't believe. He didn't believe after the furniture was stacked up. What?
I know. Olivia is now grown and married and has children. Yeah. And I said, Olivia, remember that? She goes, yes. Yes, I do.
Oh my gosh.
It's just something you don't see very often.
Wait, so what did your brother was still just like, meh? Dude, what? Well, it's, some people, I don't know. He probably still blames the boyfriend. Did you ever tell the boyfriend? You ever tell the ex-boyfriend about the furniture stacking? I'm sure he was like, yeah, that was definitely not me. Why would I do that?
I did tell him because later on at the end of me living there, we got back together for a short period.
Okay.
And I told him about all this. At the time, we were bad breakup. I didn't feel comfortable even calling him, even though he was around the block. Okay. But it was that bad of a breakup. I thought, no, okay, that's not an option.
Did you rule him out as a suspect at that point? Was his reaction?
Yeah.
Was his reaction just what you thought it would be, which is like, what? Right? What did he say?
I knew it was impossible.
Yeah, no, he didn't do it. All right, yeah, all right.
And then after seeing George a few times, then he started like saying,
Darlene, if he was like, well, maybe you shouldn't have broken up with me. Maybe the ghost was telling you not to break up with me. Then I'd have been like, you did it. Then you were in my apartment. No, no, no.
Yeah, there'd be another bad breakup if that was the case.
So
Because
I went to my friend Chris's house and I spent the night. And he lives in this really old house in Indiana. And he has a doll in his living room. And I was talking about being a believer in the paranormal and ghosts and stuff like that. So him and his friend came up with this huge ruse to move the doll around whenever I left the room. And then to completely deny it. And I sniffed it out. I was like, y'all are messing with me. This isn't funny. And that's it. And they started chuckling. And it only lasted like 30 minutes, right? They were pretty straight faced about it for a second. It was pretty good for a second. But then I was like, y'all are fucking with me. And then they're like, yeah, we're fucking with you. But they let it go for like 10, 15 minutes. And I was like, this is awesome. Are you kidding? You didn't see that thing move? Like, are you guys serious? And then they were just like, ah. So, I mean, it's just like, it's like, how long would people let a gag go for? And then, when you guys got back together and if it was him and he was just like messing with you, I mean, I think he would have at least told you then, or at least alluded to it, or I don't know. He was, what was his reaction? Completely like, yeah, it wasn't me at all. Like, he didn't even, what was his reaction?
He was clueless.
Yeah, he was like,
his face was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, why would I do that? Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Yeah.
Just curious.
Now, this one thing that happened, I think it was a weekend, and it's middle of the afternoon, and I'm in my living room, and now I had a shelf, like I had two shelves of wood shelf that my dad had made for me on the wall.
Okay.
I had figurines and that kind of thing on it. Now I had this dog, it was like a shepherd dog.
Okay.
And it was heavy metal, some kind of heavy metal, about, I don't know, 3.5 inches long, kind of small, about the size of your palm of your hand, but it was heavy. And I'm standing there, and this dog just comes off the shelf, doesn't fall off the shelf, it comes off the shelf about eye level, and then is placed on the floor. I'm going like, whoa, what? And now I know it's George doing this, that did that. But he could have hurt me. That thing was heavy. He could have hurt me. He didn't want to hurt me.
So it just floats off the shelf, doesn't fall off the shelf, and then it comes. Where did it go after the shelf?
It went straight down to the floor, but not like hard. It just like was placed on the floor.
So it like defied gravity from the top of the shelf to where it landed on the floor and was like, okay, that's crazy, Darlene. That's nuts. And you were just standing there.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Darlene, that's.
That was scary. That was another.
That is. And this was in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then he did this one thing that, by now I'm used to him, kind of, sort of, as much as I could be. But one morning I get up for work. It's 4 a.m. I go to my bathroom, and in the bathroom sink, there's an ice cube tray with melted ice and a package of bacon.
In the kitchen sink.
In the bathroom sink.
In the bathroom sink. Wait, what?
Yes.
So he took that stuff out of the freezer and put it in the bathroom sink?
Yeah, the refrigerator was the bacon, and the freezer was the ice cube tray, and puts it in the bathroom sink. Now, this time, I'm so, exhausted from him. I go and I see this, and I yell. I'm, yelling, and my neighbors probably think I'm crazy because I'm going, damn it, George, you have to mess with my bacon. Now, if you just did the ice cube tray, I'd get the hint. I'd say, okay, I'm freaked out. Look what you did. I know I didn't do it. But no, you have to mess with my bacon. I'm yelling and
I mean, Darlene, that just seems so deliberate. Like it does seem like if someone was gonna be messing with you, then that just seems like something somebody would do and to mess with you. But are you sure nobody was messing with you? Or are you sure no one was just fucking with you? I don't know. That's so weird. It's so strange.
Other than the manager, I had the key. I had bars on the windows.
Right.
I had double screen door. There's no way. The night before going to bed, I was in the bathroom and it wasn't there. And then I wake up at 4 a.m. and then it's there.
Right.
No way.
And nobody broke in. All of the locks were still on the doors. All the bars were still on the windows. you know, it's totally possible that somebody got in and did it, but then did they lock the doors as they left? Like, that's not possible.
That's not possible.
Right.
Believe me, I've racked my brain when a lot of these things are going on.
Darlene, I do believe you. I mean, that's why we're here. Like, we want to know. Like, me and the rest of the Paranormal Record listeners, we do believe you, and we're here. I'm just talking like, because it's like my buddies were just messing with me, like, you know, like, and I love bacon. I would have been really pissed off about the bacon. I'd have been like, really, dude? Like, you can't enjoy breakfast anymore. Now I can't enjoy breakfast. You know, fuck you, George.
You messed with it. I'm not touching that.
Do you remember the ghost in Pirates of the Caribbean? He couldn't have apples, but he made sure that he had the best apples on the ship when everyone was eating, right? You remember, like, Barbosa, and I don't know if you remember or not, but he can't eat the apples anymore, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And George, I'm sure he didn't, like, really kind of care about bacon any longer.
Right.
Here's
another thing, Darlene, that I always, you know, people see ghosts and people see this and they see that, but no one ever catches just bacon floating down the hallway, right? Like, no one ever catches just bacon floating down the hallway, making its way to the bathroom sink, and then an ice tray a couple minutes after that. Like, that's security film footage I want to see. That's what I want to see. I want to see stuff floating as ghosts are up to stuff and dragging things from room to room. I want to see that footage of just a package of bacon just floating by in the security footage. Like, what? Oh my gosh. I mean, obviously George is strong enough to move stuff. You know, he didn't bring the shepherd to you. He put it on the floor next to the shelf. Maybe because he couldn't do more, but he's strong enough to take an ice tray, open the fridge, close the fridge, take 2 items out, walk all the way down the hall. Like, he's strong enough to do all that. It's like, yeah, right, exactly. Like, yeah, he's. I wish any of this made sense. Like, it's so crazy wild. Wow, Darlene, you had to deal. You had to deal with all this stuff. Yeah, this is. Oh my gosh, Darlene.
And the final, I saw him 3 times altogether. Now, this is the final time, the 3rd time I saw him was the last time I saw him.
Okay.
Not the last thing he did, but the last time I saw him. And I remember, like, etched in my brain, it was the day the Desert Storm began, January 16th, 1991. I was at work. I worked a double shift. I worked from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. And it was a really long, hard day. And I remember in my dark room, I had radio going, talking about the war, and you break out, and it was bleak, you know, just everything's on. It was just a hard, long day. And I leave work finally, and on the way home, I stop at a restaurant, and I have minestrone soup and a glass of wine.
Lovely.
Okay. I'm just kind of going about, you know, thinking about the day and just everything that's going on.
Yeah, sure.
And so I get home, and I just want to sleep. And I get home, and I go straight to bed, go to sleep. And I again wake up. I wake up, sit straight up, and this time George is at the end of my bed in my bedroom.
Oh.
And I have a mirror at the end of my bed on the wall, like leaning against the wall, a long mirror. And this time he's tripping in the mirror, like standing at the end of my bed.
Oh my gosh.
And I was so tired. I remember I'm looking at him, and I just went, "Oh, Primp," with my hand at him, and just.
You were done. You had it.
Yeah, I mean, it just didn't, you know, whatever, just Primp, you know. And I knew, I mean, he had ample opportunity to hurt me. He wanted to by then. He hadn't.
So you just you said primp, and then you rolled back over, and then just went back to close your eyes and said, "I'm going to sleep."
Yeah.
And you didn't look back?
Nope. I was that tired. I just went.
Did he make any more noises, or did he do anything else?
I didn't hear him. I didn't hear him. I had not seen him after that.
Here's the thing. He woke you up. Like, whatever he was doing was waking you up.
Yeah.
So when you went back to sleep, he didn't do anything else.
I don't know how because it was such like I'm sound asleep, and then all of a sudden I'm sitting straight up, sleeping with my eyes wide open.
Right.
I don't know how that happened, how he got that to happen.
Yeah.
But it happened 3 different times.
But he didn't do it that last time And then when you rolled over, that was it. Wait, so that's the last time you saw him?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
But he the last thing he did was just, when you say, enough is enough.
okay.
I had the cat Jackson, that indoor cat, live with me.
Okay.
And like I said, I made up with my boyfriend. This is like in 91 or something.
Yeah.
And I spent the weekend, or the night at my boyfriend's house around the block. I come home Saturday morning about 11 o'clock, and I get the ironing board. I set up for ironing. And about 20 minutes later, there's a knock on my door, and it's a neighbor who spoke broken English, but he's telling me, he's saying something about a cat and window, and it doesn't sound good.
Oh.
So I'm scared, and I call my boyfriend. Come on, no way, come over here. He comes over, and I just refused. I couldn't look. I knew it would be bad. And he looked, and he said, my cat Jackson was halfway in, halfway out of the window, and he was dead.
Jackson.
Yeah, Casey said it appeared like you were scared to death, trying to get out. I don't know.
Oh, poor Jackson.
I ever left him at night there. He was there in the daytime all day long there.
Rest in peace, Jackson, Darlene. I'm sorry about your kitty cat.
Yeah.
So,
and then I moved.
you moved. Oh, that was it. You were done.
Yeah, that was it. I mean, I can't do no more. I can't do this. He won. George, take the place. I can't.
So wait, so when he said there's a cat and blah 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 blah, you didn't just go immediately and look. You called your boyfriend and then had him go look. You didn't go into the kitchen at that point.
The way the guy was kind of talking,
I
was to look. Yeah.
He was like, don't go in.
Yeah. So
that's terrible. I'm so sorry. Poor Jackson, man.
Yeah.
Was the window all the way up and the cat was just hanging in one out in the other, and then, or was the window like there was a small hole and he had tried to pry himself through the small hole?
No, I had the windows open. I had bars on the windows.
Right.
I usually like my windows open, so I never was concerned. It's a nice neighborhood. Other than George, I was never concerned about that kind of thing, like intruders. So the bars were fine, and so the window was open. And so Jackson was halfway in, halfway out of the window.
Did he normally traverse through that window in and out whenever he wanted, and he was fine?
No, he was an indoor cat. He never went out. Just like the ones I have now. They never
By choice?
Yeah.
So he didn't. The window was open, but he didn't try to go out.
No.
Was there a screen on the window?
There was a screen on the window.
But not that day.
You know what? There had to be, because I'd never even asked Casey about that, unless he tried it open or something. I don't know.
Was he stuck in the screen? And then did he try to get through the screen, or did he push the screen out and then
Casey made it sound like he was just trying to get out of there, like he was scared, scared to death. Is how he put it.
Oh, no, I'm so sorry.
And, yeah, I just couldn't look. I could do it. And George, he wanted me gone. It's his place, and I'm intruding on his place. I mean, I don't know if he's still there to this day or not. I hope he went into the light. I wish I knew then what I would have learned since.
Yeah.
Because I mean, he was troubled, obviously, but
the paranormal guy you contacted didn't tell you to stage the house?
He did not say that. He told me to leave, and I did. He told me to leave, ask questions on paper and leave it in the bathroom, because he was there a lot.
Right.
And then leave a pen or pencil there, and ask, who are you, and what do you want, and how can I help you, and that type of thing. But nothing ever became of that.
Yeah, if I was messing with you and I was a human being, I would have definitely wrote something on that piece of paper. I found it. I would have definitely written something on that piece of paper if I found it. And if my goal was to mess with you and move bacon around and stack furniture just to make you uneasy, I would have definitely written something on that paper, right? I'm all right. I'm just saying, that was a perfect opportunity to mess with you more, right? Yeah.
How far will he go to get me to come move back in? I had to consider everything.
Oh, your boyfriend. Oh, Oh, that's interesting. No, but it wasn't. You said it wasn't him though. You said that it.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't him. But I had to consider. I mean, any day.
I never thought about that. Yeah, that's a good scenario where you're so scared you're gonna move back in with him. That makes more sense. But you're pretty sure it wasn't him.
Well, it makes sense until like the 3 times I actually saw George, and then that.
Well, right. Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be funny if all this stuff was happening and then George was just something else that was happening. Yeah, no, for sure. No, that's true. That's true. I'm just trying to think of all the things. Yeah, it baffles me too. Like you said, you racked your brain at the time. I'm racking my brain now with all the information you're giving me. Just very interesting.
I mean, like I had, like at one point I had like one of like 5 different pairs of shoes, one of every shoe. Where's the other shoe? Thinking I'm losing my mind. I'm losing it. But I mean, these guys.
That's the worst.
Things are going on.
You lost one shoe to a whole pair?
I didn't lose it. It was just gone.
Right, no, I feel you. I feel you.
Weird stuff like that. Just like bizarro world
Did
stuff.
that-
But like,
Did that shoe ever show up somewhere else?
no, I just ended up throwing the other one away.
That's so frustrating. Come on.
Exhausting.
Do you know that people that have expensive shoes leave one out and put one somewhere else? Have you heard of this?
No.
Yeah, so people won't steal them. They leave one out and then put one somewhere else, or lock one up and then only leave one out, or just some weird kind of deterrent. Yeah, I know. It's like you hide your shoes. You hide your shoes in your own house. Like what?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I don't have friends that take my stuff, so it's all good.
Right. No, my girlfriend. I've had girlfriends take my favorite hoodies throughout time.
Well, yeah, but girlfriends get to do that.
That's right. That's right. Yes. They always want the best one, too. I don't know how to. They don't want the crappy one you never wear. They want your favorite every time. Yeah.
Same thing with good T-shirts, good guy T-shirts. You just want.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's so
Comes
true.
with the territory. Goes with the territory.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of cool to have a girl wear your shirt or your jacket. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it is. I
Yeah.
mean, it's well,
Yeah.
I always thought it was.
Yeah. Well, geez. Oh my God, poor Jackson. That's so
He's
sad.
the casualty of that whole thing.
Well, you didn't know he was in any danger. You didn't know he was in danger.
Hmm?
You didn't know he was in any danger.
No, I had no way of knowing. I mean,
Right.
he was there every day. I mean,
Yeah.
I had no way of knowing. It's just first time I left him at night there.
Poor Jackson. Poor Jackson.
Check.
So what? So when you moved into somewhere else, did George follow you, or that was it?
So I moved to Mar Vista, and about a couple miles away from this place, and right away. And when it was again around October, and I had the doors and windows closed. I moved upstairs, and I was on the phone in the dining room, and I was walking with the landphone to the living room, and again the same shelf that I had on the wall shelf. There was a little wooden soldier figurine. I'm standing there talking to my friend, and his little wooden soldier figurine comes off the shelf, and then again lands just on the floor.
George. That's George.
That was him saying goodbye to me, because that's the last thing that ever happened.
What?
I was scared for a minute there.
Wow. So he did say goodbye.
I guess that's what that was.
Any other hauntings in Mar Vista besides that?
Nope.
Okay. Well, wonderful. And rest in peace, poor Jackson as well. We must talk about the kitty. Poor kitty. That's so sad. That's always sad too.
I'll never know.
I know, right? But Darlene, I appreciate you calling in, and I appreciate that. Listeners, if you have a story to tell, you like Darlene, and write into paranormalrecordpodcast at gmail.com, and I will send you stickers. Darlene, did you get your stickers?
I do not.
Not yet. Okay, well, they're coming.
Great.
They're coming. But listeners, if you write in and just say, hi, I want a sticker, I will send you a sticker. But even better, tell me a story. Tell me a story like Darlene, and you too can be on the show, and we'll have you on air, and you can talk to us about what you've experienced, and that's what this show's all about. It's just listening and hearing new things and what everyone's story. This is so important and so fascinating. So that's what we want. So, Darlene, thank you for doing that. It's very cool.
Thank you for allowing me to share it.
Yes, you're so welcome. I can't wait, guys. If you have any questions for Darlene about George or Jackson or anything else you talked about tonight, you certainly can write in, and I will relay the messages to Darlene, and then I will tell you when she gets back to me, and we can talk about Darlene again. Maybe have her back on the show if we get a bunch of emails on questions. I'll have her back. I don't know. It's just how I want the show to be. It's always free and works with the people. The show's about the people that listen and people like you, Darlene, our listeners. So
I'm here for any questions at all. I would love them.
awesome. Well, Darlene, we loved having you on the show. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a good night. Thank you, Darlene.
Thank you, Rob.
Take care.
You too. Bye.
Well, poor Jackson. I every time I hear that story and just think of that poor kitty and who knows what happened to him or what was going on in the kitchen that day. It's just real sad. Um, so that was George and Darlene and George. Ah, if I would have come in and found those flowers on my pillow, that's so scary. And also, that's so crazy too, where like you go to check your kid in the bath, and then you come back. You leave the living room and you go check your kid, and then you come back, and then in that time period and in that space, somehow all the furniture stacked up on itself, and you're alone in an apartment with locked doors and barred windows in the middle of the day. That's so nuts. Like that, I just gave myself goosebumps. It's so crazy. Um, and then when she talks about those figurines coming off the shelf too, like I get like goosebumps just thinking of, just sitting in a room and then looking across a room and then seeing something just lift off a shelf so deliberately and then just place itself on the floor, defying gravity, defying logic, just insane. Like, what is happening? And that was George's final goodbye to her, too, and also that was in another apartment, right? She left the first apartment and then he was still around. She didn't see him, but he was still around that in that final apartment, and that final encounter she had with him was in another completely different place, you know. So that's another theory where it's like, do entities follow people? Do ghosts follow people? Do ghosts manifest from the people that see them? Maybe it's not always about the location. That's another thing where just try to make sense of it all, you know. Are ghosts personal? And do you take them with you? Do they follow you around from one location to another? Or does it have something to do with the location and then the ghost is there and it's haunting that location because of this? Or is it because of Darlene and George and Darlene are connected somehow and then he's following her from one place to another? And it's crazy that she went her whole life, just had that stuff happen, and such a abrupt thing where he flooded all the drawers with water, stacked all the furniture, he put the bacon in the sink. Like all that stuff is just like, it's not light. It's not like paranormal experience light. It's like some serious stuff was happening and she was witnessing it all. And then just to go your whole life, just have those things happen in an isolated couple of years. And then, yeah, that's just wow. Her story, um, very unique and very interesting. I did so enjoy talking to Darlene and listening to her story and just all that stuff as it transpired. Um, yeah, and to just go your whole life and then have that stuff just randomly happened to you in your 30s, and then, you know, somehow your cat gets killed involved and all of that. And I would have definitely tried to figure out more that day on what exactly happened to Jackson. You know, I wish that she had looked in the kitchen, or at least just, I don't know. I know that stuff is traumatic. Poor Darlene and poor Jackson. But I just wish that the day of there was some more questions that could have been answered on, what exactly happened, and, why he was there in the window, dead in the window. It's so nuts. Um, all right. So that was our first story. Now we're going to go on to our second story. Second story is an interview with my friend Evie. And Evie is a friend of my girlfriend Michelle's and I's. And she's great people, good friend of mine. And this came up at a birthday party of another friend of ours, Tracy. And everybody was just sitting around at this birthday party. There was a fire in the yard, and we were all just hanging out and around the fire. And this was a story told. And then I was like, man, I'm going to start that podcast one day. I'm going to get Evie to tell me this story. And lo and behold, I finally started my podcast. And here we are in our first season. And I'm so glad that I'm not just thinking about it and I'm actually doing it. And it's just such a great platform. And it's been such a great um, journey and time. I've had such a good time editing and putting these episodes out, and gotten a lot of good responses. So keep listening, and hope you enjoy this one. Here's Evie.
Hello, Evie. Are you there?
Hi, Rob. I am.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I'm very excited to have you on the show. I know that this story was initially told at a birthday party for our friend Tracy, I believe, and you and I are friends as well. Uh,
Yes.
and I caught the end of this story. I don't think I was there for the beginning of it or the initial. It's strange, but I didn't start the ghost story topic either. I usually am the one that starts that. um, but um, but yeah, so I didn't hear the beginning of the story, and you were kind of sitting across the circle for me, and of course, our listeners at Paranormal Record have never heard the story. So listen, so why don't you start at the beginning, and we're all ears. Evie, great to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me. So the story starts off a little weird. It was my 10th birthday. I go to school, I get a gift from one of my friends, and I opened it up. And for some reason, I got a Virgin Mary statue as a gift on my 10th birthday.
For no
And I
other
didn't think,
reason, for no other reason, but are you Catholic? Because if that's the only reason, that's the only reason you need. Because there's so much Catholic paraphernalia out there. There's like Jesus clocks and Jesus nightlights and anyway, yeah. Are you
it's
Catholic?
so my family is at that time, I was
Yeah.
no longer Catholic.
Okay.
I was Pentecostal at the time because I started experiencing different religions with my uncle. But my family was, and my friend that gifted to me was
Nice.
also Catholic.
Okay.
But
There's
yeah,
a reason.
imagine,
There's a reason.
yeah, but just imagine 10-year-old me opening a gift for one of my friends in middle school or elementary school and being like, oh, I got a Virgin Mary for my birthday. Awesome. Like of all the things, you're expecting a toy or something, and I get this
Yeah.
statue. Mind
Yeah.
you, it was beautiful. It's pink, blue, and white. Like I still remember the colors, because that it's significant to the story. But I didn't realize that it was until I made it home that night. So I don't think much of it. I'm just like, a toy would have been nice, but this is cool. I'll add it to my mom's collection of stuff because in the living room, she had like all of these collectible statues. And I'm just like, oh, this is going to look great in the living room. So I get home, I show my mom the Virgin Mary. She's like, oh, it's so beautiful. And we don't have a place for her yet. So I sit her on the coffee table. And she's just sitting on the coffee table. And I walk away. And then later on, there's a party being set up for my birthday. And my brother gets home. And I'm sitting in the living room and talking to my mom and trying to figure out where we're going to put this Virgin Mary. And then she walks off to go do some cooking. And my brother looks and he's like, is that yours? I was like, yeah. He was just like, oh, it's so pretty. I was like, right? And he goes to grab it. He's like, I think I'm freaking out. I'm like, what do you mean you're freaking out? And the Virgin Mary statue is warm to the touch. Craziest thing. Yeah. Touched it, warm to the touch. So I think he's trying to prank me and scare me with the statue. And I'm like, it's not warm. And so, 10-year-old me walks up, grabs the statue. I was like, this isn't normal. This is not how this felt earlier. And then his best friend is there, and then he doesn't believe either of us. So he's like, well, let me feel her. And he's like, something creepy is going on, and the Virgin Mary is trying to tell us something. And I'm like, what? So, all right. We have these porcelain masks on the wall. It's something that my grandmother has gifted my mother, and they've collected for years. Like, it's a huge collection between our apartment and my grandma's apartment, because she actually lives upstairs from us in her apartment. Okay. But there's all these porcelain statues, and we place the Virgin Mary back down on the table, and she's facing the wall. And this is important because the moment she's sitting there and is facing the wall, one of those porcelain masks falls straight down.
Oh, wow.
And it was weird because they have never fallen before. They have been on these walls for years. I've never known the walls to not have them. And for it to fall and not break behind the couch was weird. And so now me, my brother, his best friend are all staring at each other. And we're like, what is going on? So my brother goes to check, and he was just like, oh, it probably just fell accidentally and broke or shattered. And so he moves the couch, and it's solid. He picks it up. He's like, well, this is weird. And something in him tells him to look back at this Virgin Mary statue that's sitting there. As he looks back to the Virgin Mary statue, another one of the porcelain masks falls. And I'm sitting there confused, and I'm just like, did something hit the wall? Is the mount like going bad and stuff like that? And he's like, I don't know, man. And then he tries to put them back on the wall. He can't. And then we look, and my brother's like, can you count how many are in each section? And we're like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in one section cluster. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with one of the one that fell down in another cluster, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the third one where another one of the masks fell. So they were literally in 3 little clusters of 6, 6, 6. And we're like, nope, gotta come down the wall.
Yeah.
Like, imagine that, because it's weird. And so my brother is just like, nope, I'm taking them off the wall. This is weird. I don't know how mommy got these up here in this exact order, but they're coming down. And so he starts taking them out, and my mom hears what's going on, comes back from the kitchen into the living room, and she's like, what are you doing with my mask? He's like, they're coming down the wall. And he explains to her, she's like, that's really weird. I never noticed that. But okay. I don't think you need to take them off the wall. I don't think there's anything wrong with them. And he's like, no, they're coming down.
Son, please do not redecorate the apartment. This is mommy's apartment.
Right. But we're freaking out so bad that she kind of like, you know what? Okay. So we're taking them off the wall, and I go to move the Virgin Mary statue again, and she's hotter at this point. Like, it was weird. Like, it wasn't hot enough to burn your hand, but it was a significant temperature change. And so I was like, you know what? I'm not going to touch her anymore. She's obviously trying to tell us something. Let me put her back. I do the cross prayer, and I'm just like, whatever is going on, I hope I'm protected.
Yeah.
So my brother's just like, no, all of these need to absolutely go. We go upstairs to my grandmother's apartment, and my brother's like, we should take the statue with us. Evie, grab it because she's protecting you. And I'm like, do you think she's really protecting me? He's like, I think so. And I was like, okay, 10-year-old
So
me following my older brother.
here's where I come into the story, by the way. Here's where I come into the fire, the bonfire at Tracy's. And this is where I come into the story. I remember now because I heard nothing before this. All right, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So we go upstairs to my grandmother's house or to her apartment because we lived in a family home in New Jersey. So we had 3 apartments with family members in each one.
That's
And my
beautiful. That's awesome.
yeah, because you could like visit your family up and down the stairs, easy access. So it's cool.
Instant
Especially,
instant playmates with your cousins and instant babysitter for adults. If they need to like go somewhere quickly, they can always be like, you don't even have to drive your kids somewhere. That's brilliant.
yeah. And if my grandmother was cooking, I could just go upstairs and eat.
Yeah, and somebody's
Awesome.
gonna get fed, everyone's gonna eat. Oh man, that's awesome. That's well, you were really blessed. That's a blessing to have family in one building. That's so cool. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. But we go upstairs to my grandmother's apartment,
Yeah,
take the Virgin Mary statue with me, right?
yeah,
And she's still warm. She's still kind of between warm and hot. And my grandmother actually has these porcelain masks on her wall, like floor to ceiling. Like
yeah.
she has probably hundreds of them.
Yeah, certainly
And
more
then
than the 12 your mother had downstairs.
yeah, way more.
Yeah, yeah.
Because she was the one that collected them, and sometimes she would buy duplicates to give one to my mom. And so a couple
Okay.
of them fell off the wall in her apartment.
Wait, while you guys were there with the Virgin Mary, as soon as you walked in?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So very creepy. Like I can't look at a porcelain mask the same way ever again after this night. So my brother is like, yep, these all have to go. So he starts taking them all down. His best friend is helping us, and we're just taking them all down and putting them in boxes. And so we've cleared her wall. My grandmother's asleep and has no idea what's going on. That was fun the next day. But so we take them all off her wall. There's not one left in sight. So we put them in boxes and we take them outside to the porch. And I'm about to take the Virgin Mary back into our living room. So we're going down the stairs, go to the left, and I'm about to put her back on the coffee table. She's still warm. And I'm like, is she telling us that there's still something in the house and that's why she's warm? That's what I started to think. And my brother is starting to agree. I think that she's trying to warn us of something. So we think we have all of the masks, and one of his friends walks in, opens the door, and closes the front door to get into the hallway that leads you to the apartments. And there is a bigger mask. However, this one was different from the rest of them. This one was a clown mask. And it was also porcelain. And he is like, maybe this is the one that she's warning us about. And so he takes that one off of the wall as well. So he takes that one down and goes to put her in the box with the rest of them. And he actually rips it apart. And when he rips it apart, this is probably an even creepier side of the story. He rips it apart and jumps into the middle of the street. And I look at my brother, I'm like, why is he in the middle of the street?
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know. He's trying to call him back, like, dude, like, come back. Like, you're in the street, there's no cars, but come back. And he literally starts acting like a clown. Like he's laughing like a clown, bouncing up and down. And a car is about to come, and he's just laughing like a clown in front of this car that's coming. And we're freaking out, and my brother like tries to yank on him, and again he's still laughing and acting like a clown at this point. And he manages to get him out of the street right before the car hits him. And he like starts shaking him like, dude, what's wrong, and I'm sitting there about to start crying because I have no idea why this guy is acting like a clown. So it took probably about 5 minutes for my brother to finally shake him out of whatever was going on. And he like shakes his head, looks at my brother. He's like, dude, what just happened? And he tells him, like, you were just acting like a clown. He was like, what? He was like, you were in the middle of the street acting like a clown. Obviously, at this point, we're like, we don't even want to go back in the house. So he's okay at that point, tosses him in the box. We end up taking these boxes. And my brother's like, I don't think this is enough. And I'm like, what do you mean this is not enough? We need to find any picture with these masks to make sure that they're completely gone. So my brother starts cutting the mask from all of the different pictures. And one of the things that my brother noticed that always creeped me out afterwards was he saw these pictures that we had developed, back in the day with the one-use cameras and stuff. We had some of those pictures. And the mask in the pictures actually looked like they were looking down at whoever was sitting under them.
So wait, so now you've not only destroyed your grandmother's clown masks and put all of the masks that she had hanging up on her wall in boxes, you're now getting into still photographs and you're destroying those?
Well, we're cutting the mask out of them. So the top of the photos where the masks were, we're cutting those parts out.
Oh my God, I would have killed you guys. You're poor grand. You're poor grand. All right, go ahead. I'm with you.
No, yes, poor grandma, because grandma was pissed the next day, let me tell you.
Oh, I'm sure.
But we're like cutting the mask out of the pictures, and my brother's just like, they look creepy on the wall in the picture. It looks like they're staring straight down at us. Like in one picture, it looks like they're only staring at one person. It was the weirdest thing because they're porcelain masks, so they don't have eyes.
Right.
So the fact that you can kind of see like the cutout that's in the porcelain mask, like you can tell that it's looking at something. It was creepy.
I mean, they have eyes. They're just drawn on, but they're not physical eyes, of course. They're just drawings like everything else on the mask, right?
No. They're actually cut out. Like they're the type of mask that you could put on your face. Like the eyes are cut out.
I see what you're saying. Okay, yeah. Okay, cool. Got it. All right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I made it creepy, because with them cut out, you could still tell that they were staring at something underneath them.
What? In the photographs?
In the photographs.
Oh, wow. Okay, that makes sense. All right, now that makes more sense. I'm sorry. I'm just thinking about these porcelain masks that have eyes drawn on them, and then they're just in the face of shapes of faces.
Yeah.
They're in the shape of faces. That's kind of what I had in my head. All right, so these are masks, and they're masks because they have the eye holes cut out. And they're decorated.
Correct.
All right, I got you.
Mm-hmm. So they have no eyes painted on, just little holes, and they have like the little ribbons tied into the two sides.
Right.
Yeah, so crazy. We're like, and again, like being able to basically tell that they were staring at something. It's like, why can't I tell that these things are staring at something? This is creepy. I don't want to look at these anymore. So yeah, now we're cutting up pictures from the living room. My mother starts freaking out. And then my brother's just like, no, I have to do this. You don't understand. And we're just going away with scissors and these photographs and cutting all these masks out of the pictures. We put all of this into a box or a couple boxes. And finally, once we're done cutting up pictures and getting all of the masks into these boxes, he's like, all right, we got to burn them and take them to the park.
Oh my God. Oh no.
My brother was not taking any risk. So we take the boxes to the park. I stand back. My brother lights these boxes on fire and literally puts them into the lake in the park. And we're just
All of your grandmother's masks.
all of my grandmother's masks, the ones that my mom had, the part of the pictures that were cut out that had them originally. All of that is in these boxes on fire.
Oh my, oh my God. Okay.
So
And your
all of
brother
that,
is 14, you're 10.
I'm 10. Yeah, he's 14.
And the 16-year-old is involved in
Yes.
there with you guys. So these are
Yep.
the three children, the 10-year-old, the 14-year-old, and the 16-year-old. Anybody else in there?
No, it was just the three of us.
Just the three of you. And the
Yeah.
16-year-old kind of came into this. You guys told him what was happening, and then there was one mask left, and he was like, "Oh, go ahead. All right, I got it. Okay,
Yeah. So he was the one that ripped the last one that was left.
right.
That was behind the door.
Yes." And it was a
So,
clown.
and yep. So like one of the things I remember is just the boxes on fire, and he just like puts them in the lake, and you just see them like just going down the lake far, far away. And we make it back to the house. My mom is yelling at us
Yeah.
at this point because she finally realized that all of the masks are gone, including my grandmother's, because she had no idea that we also got those.
Oh,
Yeah. So we go back to the Virgin Mary. The Virgin Mary is no longer hot. She's not warm to the touch. She feels like a normal statue now, regular temperature.
okay. That's
Um,
crazy.
yeah, put her on the shelf, and I was just like, yeah, I guess she's protecting us at this point. I never want to see a porcelain mask ever again on my wall or in public or anywhere. After dealing with all of that in one night at 10.
Those masks are everywhere, man. Oh my gosh.
They are.
I feel like you
I
could go
hate
into a
seeing them.
mall. I think you could go into a mall, like a Hallmark store, or just like one of those. I can see them. I mean, yeah, like I can, they're still pretty prolific.
Yeah, they make my skin crawl.
Oh my gosh. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Huh. And wait, so what was the fallout of this? Did y'all didn't get in serious trouble for destroying all these hundreds of dollars possibly of masks? Like it's got to add up. And also, this is your grandmother's pride and joy. Obviously, she's hung them on the wall. She's put all this time and money into them, and they're just one day they're just gone. Oh my goodness. Y'all didn't get in trouble or what? Like, how did that? Your brother just
So
like stuck with his guns that there was evil happening and he had to protect you guys. What was that? How did that keep going?
I had to protect my brother in this one
Yeah.
because my grandmother was very, very upset. But as we got older, we tied more things into the mask. So my grandmother practiced Santeria,
Oh,
which is, yeah. So she felt like the masks were already protecting us in
I
the
didn't know.
house.
I didn't know Santeria was involved in this. Oh wow. Okay,
Well, I didn't know about it until after the fact, like actually a couple years later. I
but
didn't
they weren't
know.
religious. They weren't religious masks though.
No, they weren't.
Yeah.
My grandmother kind of blessed and protected a lot of stuff and kind of put things in the house from the Santeria to like wards to protect. But Santeria can be good and it could be evil, just like witchcraft. Like there's good sides and bad sides. And the older that we got, me and my brother talked about it. And my grandmother dabbled on both ends. Like she did some good things, but she also did some bad things. And when I was probably about 22 and went back to New Jersey, for her funeral, I actually found out that there was a curse put on my grandmother that impacted her homes.
Impacted those apartments that y'all lived in?
Yeah, because it was my grandmother's house,
Right.
technically. And
Yeah.
then she bought it for the family because we moved from Philadelphia to New Jersey. And so she got the house with the 3 apartments because everybody was moving to New Jersey to make it easier on the family. So everybody wouldn't be apart. But yeah, I found out in my early 20s that there was actually a curse on my grandmother.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So then I think about that night and everything that happened, getting the Virgin Mary, and I'm like, I wonder if there was some kind of curse that was put into any of the masks because someone knew that she was purchasing them, or because technically there was a curse on her that impacted her home. If that all tied in together, and why the Virgin Mary statue acted the way that it did, and that all of those things happened that night.
So your grandmother, when she found out that you guys were trying to protect the family and that there was some kind of paranormal things happening, she was like, okay, because she was already dabbling in these magics,
Yep.
right? And so she was like, oh, this checks out.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it wasn't a lot of pushback on it, but she tried to make it seem like the masks were there to protect us, not the other way around. But when we told her what happened, she kind of let it go. And when I was younger, I didn't put 2 and 2 together because I didn't know about the Santeria that she was doing until later on. And then I think back and I'm like, wait a minute. That probably had to do a lot with it. And that house in general was spooky to an extent. Like I'm pretty sure there was a spirit in that house because the top apartment, multiple family members felt a presence in that apartment whenever they were by themselves or my grandmother wasn't there.
So she was maybe the factor that kept the spirits at bay, like she was protecting people, and or maybe the masks were protecting people through her, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Wait, so this was an apartment building, like a whole apartment complex, or like a house that was divided into apartments?
A house divided into apartments.
Okay, cool. So it was you guys, just it was an apartment complex unto the Garcia family. That was everybody. You guys were just all there.
Yeah, so it was one house, 3 apartments. So the first floor was like me, my mom, my brother. The second floor was my grandmother and 2 of my uncles. And then the basement was another one of my uncles.
That's so nice that all your family's in the same place. That's so cool.
Mm-hmm. It made
Um,
holidays easy.
I bet you just who's cooking what, and then who has the biggest amount of space we can all meet there.
Yeah.
We can all get our plates and then go to other rooms or just hang out in the kitchen. I've had whole
Yep.
celebrations of Thanksgiving, and everybody just kind of hangs out standing up in the kitchen around the
Yeah.
food. Yeah. Well, very cool. All right. 16-year-old, he never copped to like just playing a big gag on you guys or endangering
No.
everyone for funsies. Was he a goofball? Was he a prankster at all?
So he wasn't. He was actually very religious. He had recently had been baptized. Like he was super like believing in God and spirits and all of those stuff. So that was actually like a test for him that night because he was praying so much afterwards because it creeped him out. But he was never a prankster or anything like
Okay.
that.
Yeah, so that adds to it where it's like if you remove the possibility of him just messing with you guys. Um yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to ask, is this guy that kind of initiated all this Is he just pulling everybody's leg and he's just adding to the already you guys were panicking and freaking out, and then he saw an opportunity there to have a little fun, right?
Yeah,
But you're
yeah,
saying
but that
that's
was
not in his character at all. And then he
not
was
in his
also
character.
in retelling of this tale, and then him talking about it, he was freaked out. Yeah, so
Yeah,
this was a huge thing that went down for everybody.
yeah.
Wow. So, did your grandmother buy any more masks? Did your mom buy any more masks? Did all of the mask collecting at this point end at this night?
The mask collecting ended that night. After that night, there were no more masks in the house.
And he just put the boxes on fire in the lake, and they sank in there in the lake as we still as we know for all we know. They he left all of that. He threw the boxes after they got done burning or while they were burning in the lake, and
While
they're
they were
just in the
burning.
lake. Yeah.
They're just in the lake. They might be at the bottom of the lake.
Right,
Who knows?
right. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And y'all left all that there, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
And again, like I still remember they used to sell them a lot in the carnivals in the park
Right.
because we lived really close to the park. Like it was 2 blocks down from us. It was this huge park.
Yeah.
And they would even have like these tents that had the porcelain mask in it. I would freak out. Like I would like, no, I don't want to go in there. I don't want to even walk by them. Like I couldn't even see them when I was younger because I would automatically have like a panic attack. No.
Wow. Hmm. Fascinating. All right.
Yeah.
So what now? You guys getting older and talking about this, or your grandmother talking about this, or your mom talking about this? What was said years later? What was discussed? What was said? And your friend, the 16-year-old who was deeply affected that night, any of these other, any talk or other conversations about the mask? Because you were 10, so maybe I guess all the information you have besides your 10-year old memories of all this, are just people talking about it.
Um, my mom and grandmother never brought it up again.
Okay.
Um,
They're afraid your brother was going to destroy more of their stuff. They did.
probably.
Please don't tell your brother where we keep all of the pictures. These are the pictures he could destroy. I've left those in my living room. All the other pictures we've locked away.
Yeah,
He's not allowed in
basically.
the boxes. He's not allowed in the photo boxes. Oh gosh.
Yeah, what's interesting is that that brother is not close with the family anymore. Like
What?
he barely talks to anybody in the family. Um, so he hasn't talked about that night. I've talked about that night with one of my best friends that was supposed to be there that night, that wasn't. And when I told her what happened, she didn't believe me at first. And my brother told her, no, she's not lying to you. This really happened. And then she's like, well, I'm glad that I couldn't make it because I would have been here dealing with that. What if I was the one that turned into a clown? I'm glad I wasn't here.
So what about the person that gifted you the Mary statue? Did she have any comments, or did the statue have any more history beyond that she just gave it to you, or reasons that she gave it to you, or was she ever told about her statue and then what happened that night?
So I told her about what happened, and she hugged me and was like, all I wanted to do was protect you because you're one of my closest and bestest friends. So when I told my mom I didn't know what to get you for your birthday, she was just like, well, what emotions do you feel? And she was just like, well, I feel protective over her. I feel like I need to protect her. Because there was a point in time where like I got in fights with people and she was always there to defend me. And so her whole thing was, I just want to protect you. And that was part of the reason of her choosing that as my gift because her mom recommended, well, what about, protecting her spiritually? And she got me the statue.
That makes more sense now. That
Yep.
where you have what can I get Evie for her birthday? I just want to protect her, and her mom being like, well, Mary always looks over us, so why don't you get her something religious that is a symbol of love and love in general, like
Mm-hmm.
Mary watches over you know lots of people. She's a saint. I need to do my homework a little bit more, but like I'm pretty sure that she fits right in with the saints, or I think she's over saints actually. She's like right under Jesus, I think. I don't know the
Mm-hmm.
hierarchy and the power of Mary, but like I know there's all kinds of I'm gonna talk out of school here and just get a bunch of emails explaining everything. Don't send emails. I'm gonna read about this. I'm interested to know. Um, Listeners, I know you're out there and just cringing. No, listen, I'm just talking because I'm curious. I'm gonna have to do some more reading. And I'm looking forward to it. Uh wow. Okay. That makes more sense too on where it came from. Where is this statue now? Do you still have your Mary statue?
I do not have my Mary statue
What?
anymore.
What? She's protecting you.
I know there was a lot of things that happened
Okay.
uh between that time and at some point when I had her until I didn't live in New Jersey anymore. So when I was 13, I ended up moving here with my brother, and my mom kept her, and she put all the stuff into storage, and the storage caught on fire. So
Okay.
the
Well,
Mary
yeah, you can't
statue
help
was
that.
lost. Yeah, yeah. She called
Jeez,
me
everything was
because,
lost.
yep.
Ugh. Well, that can't be helped. At least nobody threw it away at any point. Like at least your mom realized its value to you. And then
Hmm.
if something was going to happen, the storage caught on fire. Did your mom tell you that, or that the storage really caught on fire?
My mom
Like
told me that. I never verified because it was in New Jersey and I was here. So,
I didn't mean to let that cat out of the um, bag. Mm, sorry, I'm just thinking out loud, Mrs. Garcia. I don't mean any harm. Getting your daughter to question your storage unit story. Um, oh my gosh. Hello, hello everyone. Um, Interesting. Okay. Wow. Yeah. Now is this the brother that you talk about that comes to visit all the time and hangs out with you and stuff? That's another person.
that's another person. I have three brothers.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
It was
No,
the
I haven't.
youngest out of my three.
Yeah, because I think I almost met the one that you see all the time. I think he was in the background of like a conference call or something, or when he was like, "Hey man," I was like, "Hey," I can't remember what that was. Was that a Zoom or something?
Trivia night.
It was a
He did a
trivia night.
trivia night. Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes. So I did meet him
Yep.
virtually. That was another brother,
Yes, that's the middle out of the three.
and the 16-year-old was not family. He was a friend.
No. Mm-hmm.
Now your brother, he acts up. The 14-year-old, he causes mischief. He is a prankster, or does tricks on people, or is up to playing things, or dramatic, or any of these. Who is this character? Who is this character in the story? You're the 14-year-old who was really the beginning and continuation of all of what happened that evening. Just curious to know the kind of person he was. Was he very dramatic, and did things like this happen all the time? Did spiritual things like this happen all the time to him, or because of the way he reacted, he was not so used to dealing with spiritual things? Like, was he sensitive to the paranormal?
He was more sensitive to the paranormal after these events.
So this was a beginning for everyone,
Mm-hmm.
except
And
for your
again,
grandmother, who had been in it and didn't tell you guys.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, you're 10
Um,
and he's 14, so she's not going to tell you guys too much, but
no. But after that, you can kind of feel some of the spirits in that house.
Yeah. Wait, so your brother though, not you believed him. We all three of you believed. I mean, all the two of you believed him. Grandma and mother believed him. All of this
Mm-hmm.
came to pass, and you guys believe uh what he was saying was true, and that these things were happening.
Yeah, he was a prankster towards my mom,
Yeah.
but it was never anything spiritual or ghost because that was where he drew the line because he believed in spirits and ghosts and all that stuff. He did not joke about stuff like that ever
Yeah,
because he
you were
believed in
looking
it.
and watching him behave that night. You were witnessing him full on freak out. So
Yeah,
if this was a ruse,
it was a good one.
yeah, that
Um,
remains to this day. He's never spoken on it. Like, I hated all this
no,
mask. I got rid of them. Here's how I did it.
but I mean, he couldn't fake the statue
This that you're being
being
warned,
warm.
which was his initial claim as well. And then he was like, check this out. Hey, now, Evie, was there a lamp on the table or bright lights in the room or anything electrical touching the table or anything that could have warmed up not only the statue on the table, but other things? Do you remember that table or remember the things around it? Was there a lamp near it that might have warmed up the table and then that conducted into the statue somehow? Or,
There was no lamp by the
okay.
table. The lamps that were in the living room were by the two end tables by the couch. So it was far enough away from the coffee table that they wouldn't have caused it to
This
warm
was
up.
just a coffee table, just free floating between the couch and the television
Yes.
that the statue was on.
Mm-hmm. The heat wasn't on. There was no light above the coffee table. Just the two lamps that were by the sides of the couches. The TV was off. Like there was no explanation
And
to it being
the
warm.
and the statue was warm upstairs in your grand's apartment as well. That
Yep.
wasn't, and it also was carried from one apartment to the other up a flight of stairs and remained a weird temperature for a statue.
Yes.
Was it one of those like hollow statues where it was like a solid piece of plastic, or it was like a chess piece that's kind of hollow and has like a base? Like, I'm trying to figure out my
So
my
she
experiences with like Catholic like saint pieces, like, and I can see it in my brain, but I'm just trying to figure out. Yeah, tell me a little bit more about the statue.
I'm pretty sure she was also made out of porcelain
Oh, okay, okay.
because she was fragile. Like,
So okay, and it was like kind of like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because it was like her chest up.
Oh, it was like a bust.
Yes, it was a bust of the Virgin Mary. And I want to say she was holding a flower in her hand, but I don't 100% remember. I remember her face and the color of the
Right.
drapage over her, and
Like
I'm
the pinks
pretty
and the
sure she was,
blues.
yep, but I'm pretty sure she was holding a flower. I'm gonna see if I find a picture of a statue like it.
Very cool. Um, and was there any more incidents with this statue after that night? Did you guys do anything with the statue, or allocate it to a certain place, or you just kept it in your room, or what? What did this? How was what was the statues? What did the statue mean to you after that night? And then what did you do? And did your grandmother have anything to say about the statue? Did she want anything to do with it, or what? Where did the statue go after this?
So the statue stayed in the living room.
Where it stayed
Uh,
upstairs?
it stayed in the living room, in our living room, in the first
Okay,
floor.
okay,
So in our apartment. And she just went on the entertainment center. Like my mom had a bunch of shelves because my mom collected little knickknacks, like precious moments and little statues of all kind of stuff. And she made some space for the Virgin Mary on one of the shelves. And she stayed in the living room. And thinking about it, with you asking those questions,
yeah.
we never felt a spiritual pressure or like a spiritual essence in our apartment after having that Virgin Mary. But upstairs, there was, because my cousin felt it at one point. My mom felt it at one point, and I felt it at one point. It felt like a cold breeze, but she only felt it in the second apartment.
So the Virgin Mary made your apartment better, or presence free after that night? You said you witnessed the presence downstairs, or you said the house itself was haunted, but it was a little less haunted downstairs after Mary was there. You saying?
Yep.
Thing? Okay. Hmm. But y'all never really placed any more emphasis on Mary, and she didn't have any more protective incidents, or it was just that night, and there was a statue, and then the statue just kind of got on this put on the shelf, and that was it.
Well, I think they're every day for a few months
Yeah.
as a kid. I think they're every day for a few months. I remember that. I would go to the statue. I'm like, thank you, Mary, for watching over me. And then I would go to school.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's cool. Hmm. Just letting all of this soak in. I'm trying to think if I have any more questions. Um, yeah. Cool. Very cool story. Well, I appreciate you sharing with us today. And I'm glad to get the whole story in. Because I only got half of it. And then
Yeah.
some other stories were told. So but not by you. There was other people in the circle, and yeah. So I only got half of that, but I was like, when I do that podcast, I'm gonna call Evie and she'll tell me her story. Um, well, cool, Evie. I really appreciate you being on the show today and sharing your story with us. And um, did you have a good time? We're glad to have you.
I did. Thank you for having me.
Fantastic. And listeners, if you have any tales of religious articles protecting you, or your own stories of your relationship with the Virgin Mary, or your relationship or experiences with porcelain masks, um, you know, don't forget to reference this story when you write into the podcast, and of course, all of your uh, emails can be sent. Feel free to write in about your own experiences, and I would love to get Evie back on the show, and maybe we can talk more about um, Mother Mary, and maybe we can talk more about porcelain masks. And I always found them a little creepy, and of course, everyone finds clowns creepy. I think that's universal. Um, but Evie, thank you so much for being with us today on the show, and making my podcast dreams come true. Because again, I had this idea in mind, and I had certain people I wanted to talk to and get their stories from um, as I ramped up to starting this. And here you are in our first season, so that's awesome.
Woohoo!
Yeah, appreciate it. All right, Evie, thanks so much.
You're welcome.
You take care.
All right, you too.
See ya.
Alrighty, bye.
Wow. There it is. That's that story's crazy, man. And those masks are everywhere. I see those masks in so many places, so many people's apartments and houses, and in so many stores. I never found them creepy. I know that people find masks and clowns creepy, but I never found either one really creepy. Pennywise the clown is definitely creepy, but not just clowns in general. I like clowns. I like the circus. I've always liked clowns. So, but I've never been like I never thought twice about those masks. Um, I think I've seen them just growing up all the time, but I've never thought twice about them. Certainly, um, now I will think about Evie and her brother and his friend when I see those masks, and this story in particular, and Evie's grandmother and Evie's mom. Oh my gosh. So, yeah. And then, what about the next day when people are like in that park and they just see this box in the lake, like at the bottom of the lake? I mean, lakes aren't that deep, like you could probably still see it on the surface, and they look down and there's just this box of masks scattered on the floor of the lake, and it just like, I mean, what would you think if you saw that? Like, what is happening? Um, and you know, all those masks, her grandmother's mask, her mom's mask was just all gone, and then just thrown in the lake one day, and then nobody talks about it. Nobody talks about it again. They're just like, oh, the kids are really freaked out. They're really scared. Um, that whole situation, like that. What do you mean nobody talked about it again? Like what? I would have definitely talked about how you guys destroyed all my masks and then went upstairs and got grandma's masks and destroyed them too. Oh my gosh, Evie, that's so crazy. Um, I love that also she prays to the Mother Mary to keep her safe before she goes to school, and then her friend got her the statue as well to because she wanted to protect her. And I love that story, and I love saints, and I've always loved saints. I had a Saint Christopher medallion in my car for years, and my grandmother had one in her car, and then I wore a Saint Christopher medallion for years. Um, yeah, saints are cool, man. Uh, my grandmother also had in her backyard the saint that's like friends to the animals. She had like a fountain. It was like a bird bath. It wasn't like a moving fountain, but like a bird bath. And she had that. And my dad still has that statue of my grandmother's in his backyard now in Savannah on Wilmington Island. He has it. So anyway, I like saints are cool. I'm just saying saints are cool. And Mother Mary definitely. There's a lot of history and a lot of folklore, and just that's a big deal to a lot of people. Mary, Mother of God. Yeah, and then there's like a prayer, and yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, so I hope you enjoyed Skeleton Crew, and I hope you enjoyed the episode today. Please write in if you have had a paranormal uh, experience and you wish to share it with the show. Please write into paranormalpodcast@gmail.com. Again, that's paranormalpodcast@gmail.com. And if you would like to be on the show and you have a story to share, you can write in. And if you write in and just go, Rob, I love the show, send me stickers, I'll send you stickers. If you write in and send me your address, I'll send you stickers. So what are you waiting for? There's stickers involved. If you write in, I'll send you a sticker. There's two different kinds of stickers, and if you write in, I'll send you a sticker. If you write in, please share your story, and I read all the emails, and I'd love to hear from you. Thank you to both of our guests, Evie and Darlene, and thanks for listening, listeners. We'll see you next time. Thanks so much. Good night.